Hey everybody, today is Sunday, December 4th, 2022, and we're here in Bally, Pennsylvania, right outside of Fancy's Flea Market, one of my most favorite places to thrift. I am pretty much out here every single weekend doing some thrifting, and yet for whatever reason, I've never actually bothered to stop and take a look at something that actually shares the same exact parking lot as Fancy's, and that is this old 1899 Mennonite church. This is pretty amazing. And yet, for whatever reason, I've never bothered to actually stop and take a look at this. I don't know why. I drive past this literally pretty much every single weekend, and I've never pulled over to actually give it a look. It's actually the Bally Community Center now. It's no longer used as a church. It is now a community center, but still, it's pretty amazing. And sitting right next to the church is this rather old, I'm guessing, early 1900s cemetery. I went to say graveyard and cemetery at the same exact time there. I was going to put the two words together, semi-graveyard, semi-yard, cemetery, graveyard, gravatary. I'm losing my mind. It's very, very cold out right now. So this is pretty amazing. Look at this. You can't even see the names on most of these headstones. They are so incredibly worn down. Look at that. This is pretty awesome. I wish I could actually see the dates on these. But again, they are so incredibly weathered. I have no idea what the date on any of these headstones are. This one here, this is a Bower. There's a lot of Bowers who live out here. I'm actually friends with a family. I'm getting all choked up. With a family of Bowers. A lot of Bowers in this area. They passed away, looks like in 1822, 1840. So I was thinking early 1900s, but they had this. So this cemetery might actually predate this building here, this structure here, this church here, because according to the front of it actually says Mennonite MH Meeting House, Mennonite Meeting House, I think is what MH stands for, and this is AD 1899. So I have no idea if it was rebuilt in 1899 or if this is a newer structure. Maybe there was an older structure that actually sat here on this property. And this is a newer structure. I'm not entirely sure, but supposedly, from what that says, these headstones, these graves out here actually predate the 1899 building. That is interesting. So you look at Samuel and Elizabeth Bower. So it looks like actually I'm not sure if that, I'm trying to read the names. That might be Samuel there. Maybe that's Elizabeth, or maybe those are different headstones. I'm not entirely sure. Again, they're so difficult to read. That is so interesting, though. I don't know why they received a newer headstone. Not sure what that's about. Maybe the family just made them a newer headstone, bought them a new headstone. I don't know. So pretty awesome little cemetery. Some of these graves are kind of just stones. I mean, that's not even like a legitimate headstone. That's just a marker. Looks like it has literally the initials. That's all that's on that. Looks like maybe like a B and an R on that, maybe, or no, an S. Maybe an S and an R, or an S, maybe an S and a B. That is, again, it's so hard to read. I don't know. You can definitely tell I think that's an S, and then maybe a B or an R right there. Probably a Bower. It's honestly probably somebody with the last name of Bower who's buried out here. There's some more smaller headstones there. Look at this one here. This one actually says, does that say 1758? Am I reading that correctly? Look at this. I'm seeing 1758, right? Is that a 1758 headstone? That's crazy. I would not have thought somebody from that long ago would be buried out here. Again, when I saw the actual date on the building of 1899, I kind of assumed that these headstones would date back to around that time, but clearly they date back to much, much longer. This cemetery has been around for way longer than the actual community center there, the actual church there, which is pretty cool. Look at this one. I can't see what the date on that one says. I'm not entirely sure, but it's just really interesting. These are nothing more than stones. These are like field stones that are just carved into, as opposed to concrete ones like this. Whatever this one is over here. This one over here is pretty fancy. Look at this one. So this is marble. This one, like the marble, or the concrete ones, or whatever those are made out of. Some of these are, these are not actually marked. There's nobody, I'm guessing there's nobody buried here. Maybe this is somebody's newer plot. Maybe somebody bought this land here and eventually them and their families will be buried here. Or maybe this is just a new spot the actual community center put here that you could buy into. I'm not entirely sure. That's interesting. Very weird, in the middle of this very old cemetery, there's this newer little plot here. It's pretty interesting. I'm actually really glad I came out here now to walk through this cemetery. Some of these graves are like right up behind each other. It's interesting the way they were buried like that. Again, some of these are just tiny little stones. Very crazy. Again, just a field stone that was carved into. No idea what that one says. Some of these are right up against the road as well. Look at these. That is interesting. This one here is really nice with our mother. Look at that. And, ooh, how do you say that name? Anne Orba Holzer? Maybe I'm saying that right? With a planter. Never any plants inside the planters. One of these days, we're gonna find one. That is awesome. I don't know if there's actually maybe two people buried here in the same plot. Interesting. I don't know about that. Look at this. How amazing looking is that? I cannot believe I've never stopped here before. I'm so happy that I decided to just, as I'm leaving Fences, as I'm leaving the flea market, something just said, no, you know what, stop. Go look at this graveyard. And I am so happy I decided to stop here and check this out because it is really, really awesome looking. This is one of the cooler cemeteries I've been to in a while. I just like the fact that it's so well lined up. A lot of cemeteries I go to, it seems like it's kind of a jumbled mess. Even over there, like the older part of the cemetery, I think, it was a little bit more jumbled. This is very nice and neatly organized. This is a really cool looking graveyard. That is pretty awesome. Definitely glad, like I said, I pulled over to check this out. I'm not entirely sure if this has anything to do, this cemetery has any relation to the Butler Valley Church over here. This is the Butler Valley Community Church. So maybe that's actually part of the same thing. In fact, I think on their website, I saw that the community center actually helps support a couple churches. There's a Mennonite church down the road. Apparently they help support that. I think the Butler Valley Church was actually on that list as well. So I think there's like 3 or so churches that the proceeds from the community center actually go to help support. So maybe that's the case. There's a newer cemetery across the road. Those headstones don't look nearly as old. And I wish I could see some of the dates on these. They're so incredibly difficult to read. This one you can read. Born 1839, died 1902. Very, very awesome. I love just walking through cemeteries, and the fact that I haven't bothered to check this one out. It's pretty crazy. Look at these. Those are really interesting and unique looking headstones. The way that they're actually round like that, I've never seen that before. But all right, guys, I just wanted to check this out. Finally, pull over as I'm leaving Fences Flea Market, to finally pull over and just walk to this cemetery. You guys know how much I love graveyards, how much I love cemeteries. I'm always showing them off in these videos, and I will continue to show them off because I do love them so much. Here's a newer one, Longacre. This is actually the last name of the people who have a local dairy around here. I don't know if they're actually related or not. Maybe, possibly. A lot of families around here in these parts are related to each other. Every time I go out to a cemetery, I'm constantly seeing names of people, like friends. Like I see like last names of friends I have, and I just know probably somehow distantly they're related, because a lot of people in this area are all sort of related to each other. I don't really ever come across anybody with my last name, though. I don't think I've ever seen my last name in a cemetery before. One of these days. Actually, these are somewhat newer headstones back here. There's this one here. This is interesting. Look at this one. It's just it's a Newt, N-E-W. It says Newt, N-E-W-T. Newt T. Longacre passed away in 2016. Maybe the family couldn't really afford a headstone, so they just did that, which is nice. when I pass away, I don't need anything fancy. I've already told my family that. I'm like, I don't need a fancy funeral. I don't need a fancy coffin. I don't need all this fancy stuff. I'm dead. Like, I'm not gonna care personally. It's not a big deal to me. I don't need anything fancy. So honestly, something like that would be perfectly fine for me. In fact, I don't even need something like that. But all right, guys, it's really cold. I'm freezing. I feel like I'm mumbling because I'm so cold right now. It is the beginning of December. The winter is definitely here upon us, and I'm all sniffly right now. But anyway, guys, like I said, just wanted to finally pull over and check this out. Can't believe for years I've been going into this flea market here, checking this flea market out pretty much like nearly almost every single weekend. I'm inside this flea market, and yet I've never actually parked my car on the way in or out and walked over here to check out this rather amazing and rather old cemetery that sits right next to this old Mennonite church, which is pretty awesome. Built, I guess, in 1899. That is really cool. But all right, guys, I'm gonna let you guys go. I'm gonna get back in the car. I'm gonna warm myself up. So as always, guys, thank you so much for checking out this video. Be sure to hit that like button, hit that subscribe button. Definitely check down below for links to Patreon. If you guys do become a patron, I will send you a postcard every single month from the road. Also check down below for a link to Spreadshirt, where you can grab yourself retro Rest Stop t-shirts, proceeds, both from Spreadshirt and from Patreon. You can help putting gas in Vanderbilt and inside pumpkins, so we can come out to interesting places like this, like these amazing old cemeteries, and other cool places as well. So anyway, guys, like I said, check down below for all the links. If you guys are subscribed or you do subscribe, I will see you in tomorrow's video. Thanks for watching, guys. Have a good one. Bye.